Welcome. Let's go ahead and talk about the Google Cloud Platform Data Engineer course with INE. So this course here is going to be mainly focused on Google Cloud Platform, data engineering, as well as development. So let's go ahead and do an intro here. I'm Joe Holbrook. I've been a cloud architect, cloud service manager, and a technical trainer for quite a while. I have my hands experience with Google Cloud, of course, as well as Amazon and EMC Hybrid Cloud as well. So I'm looking forward to talking about the real focus area in this course is data engineering, and mainly will be focused at a basic to intermediate level with some advanced capabilities as well. We'll discuss to make sure that you understand what you need to focus on to be a successful data engineer in the Google Cloud. So with that said, let's get started. So prerequisites. The first prerequisite is that you have a basic knowledge of cloud technology. Now, this course here, we're not going to be getting you familiar with basic cloud terms like infrastructure as a service, or platform as a service, or software as a service, or private cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud, etc. We're going to expect that you have that expertise already. We hope that you have a basic knowledge of Google Cloud, at least to have had the opportunity to log in and set up virtual machines or something of that nature. Not totally necessary, but it would probably help somewhat to get you at a higher level. Having some basic SQL knowledge. We're not going to be making you an expert in SQL in this course. We just want to give you an idea of the SQL capabilities, the different database types that are out there, and how you could create your own Google Cloud Platform applications using SQL. Being willing to learn GCP. So again, you may have a platform already with Google Cloud. The question is how well you do you know it, and do you want to learn more? So let's go ahead and finally just confirm that you will benefit from having an account with Google Cloud, whether it is free or paid. Now, just to confirm, depending on where you're located, you may or may not have access to a free account with Google. I know that in the European Union that it is apparently not legal to give out a free account. So it really depends on where you're located, whether or not you get a free account. If not, you'll need to, of course, get an account set up. However, you need to do that. What are the objectives? So right now we're talking about the course introduction. We're going to talk about the logistics and what we're going to cover. Module 2 is an overview of the cloud platform itself. So basically, I'm just going to cover on the highlights that we're going to cover mainly that you'll probably want to focus on to be a successful data engineer. The Google Cloud Platform is far and wide. I'm going to focus mainly around the data engineering part. And the reason is because, again, typically your typical data engineer, your developers, your application engineers, whatever your job role may be around creating applications, is going to be really focused in certain areas. So we'll cover that. Data services. And again, I'm going to focus on services like Cloud Dataproc. I'm going to focus on NoSQL and SQL databases. I'm going to also focus on Cloud PubSub. These are services that you'll be using quite a bit as a data engineer. We'll talk about what a cloud endpoint is and why, as a data engineer and a developer, you're going to really find these useful. Again, anything that you could do to reduce your workload and create some security, stability is a good thing. We're going to focus on data storage. And again, we want to make sure that you're aware of the data storage type because depending on, of course, the application that you are developing or the services that you're providing, the data storage is going to be a significant part of that application more than likely. We're going to focus on software development from pretty much best practices as well as what you can do with Google Cloud. And then we're going to go on and cover App Engine. Now, App Engine is, of course, Google's platform as a service. It's really an amazing capability, very flexible and powerful. The chances are you're going to be able to work your application and develop, test, integrate it, whatever you have to do with App Engine. And we'll cover all the pros and cons that you'll likely want to know. Virtual machines. Now, this sort of ties into App Engine. And again, I'm not going to make you an expert in virtual machines from, like a cloud management perspective. I want to focus on the development and data engineering just because, again, this job role, you're going to be having to deal with VMs. And the question is what is the right one that you need for the right situation? So we'll go ahead and talk about that. Security and identity and access management. Now, this is another area that I have typically found to be challenging for a lot of data-oriented folks. Again, a lot of people are really good at integrating SQL or integrating messaging or anything of that nature. But when it comes to security, encryption, areas around role-based controls, etc., ACLs, this may not be one of your focus areas. So we want to cover security and IAM to make sure that you have that foundation. Containers, right? Pretty much if you're developing anything, you're going to want to use a container. And we're going to talk about what a container is, and we'll also talk about Google's container engine and Kubernetes and why you need to know that. Stackdriver. Now, Stackdriver is an amazingly powerful tool set. And I'm going to cover mainly from a developer perspective. Stackdriver can be used for operations, but also for developers and data engineers. So, a very powerful tool set. Whether you want to debug an application or use it for logging, you're going to find that Stackdriver is going to be your go-to utility for that. And then TensorFlow. TensorFlow is an amazing solution as well, especially around learning capabilities, machine language, etc. We're going to talk about how you can use TensorFlow and why you want to use TensorFlow as a data engineer. Then we're going to talk about reliability. Now, generally when you want to design any kind of a service, whether it's in the cloud or whether it's not, that service has to be reliable. If the service isn't reliable, then what happens? You're going to have a lot of support issues to deal with. You may not have the user support that you need, for example. In other words, maybe folks don't want to use that application because it keeps on crashing or it doesn't scale, whatever that situation is. So we're going to talk about some of the best practices and tie it in specifically to Google Cloud. We're going to touch on big data capabilities, Hadoop, etc., and how you can work big data services into Google Cloud. Talk about DevOps as well and how Google Cloud supports DevOps, as well as areas that you want to know like continuous monitoring, development, etc., and areas that you'll be tested on if you do take the data engineer course, class that is, certification. We'll talk about user requirements gathering. Now, one of the things that is best practice before you deploy anything is to understand your user requirements. I'm going to cover areas that you'll want to look at specifically around best practices in the Google Cloud. We'll talk about developer resources. So I'm going to show you a list of different areas that you could look at, go through areas for APIs, go through areas for documentation. We'll go through areas for support, areas that you'll want to know to be able to get the most out of Google Cloud. And then lastly, we'll wrap it up with talking about preparing for this exam. Now, the data engineer exam is what I would call a very challenging exam, especially if you don't have a lot of data experience around creating like workflows or SQL or database structures and other areas, especially like machine language as well. So with that said, I'll cover what you need to know and hopefully get you off to a good start. So the objectives, again, we want to make sure that you gain an understanding of Google Cloud Platform. We want you to be able to set up basic services like virtual machines and data storage. Gain an understanding of development tools and services available to you as a developer or a data engineer. We'll talk about developing database services on the GCP platform. So we're going to talk, of course, about Bigtable, BigQuery, etc. We're going to talk about preparing for the data engineer exam. Now, the Google Cloud Platform is a wide area in the sense of different services and solutions that are there. Now, we'll mainly be focused on platform as a service with some touch on infrastructure as a service as well. So we're going to go into SysOps and DevOps pretty much is where we'll be focused on, but we will get into brief IT ops and some no ops as well. So we'll continue on. So GCP has an exciting portfolio. It is developer focused, and let's go ahead and proceed on to talk about the Google Cloud Platform, specifically data engineering on it.